Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to another edition of the Nintendo News Roundup. I do apologize for yet another delay in the roundup. This time, I recorded the entire thing, and then my recorder glitched out, and I lost the whole entire recording, and I had to do it all over again right now. So, that's pretty cool. But on with the news. The nation, nay, the world, has been on the edge of its seat, watching a very intense race. And everyone just collectively breathed a sigh of relief when the results finally came in. The Nintendo Switch has passed the Nintendo Entertainment System to become the second best-selling home console for Nintendo. Handheld, it's a little further down the list, but home console, it is number 2. It passed the NES, and its next stop is the Wii. That is a much, much bigger jump to get to the Wii, but the further we go, the more it seems like, yeah, it's definitely gonna hit it. It's not gonna reach DS numbers, I don't think. Probably not even close, but I think a cool 100 is pretty much a guaranteed at this point, just seeing as, like, it hasn't even been the holidays. It still has a tremendous amount of momentum, which is going to carry it up into the 70 and 80, 90. Yeah, it's going to be a big old thing, and sales momentum is so good right now, in fact, that Nintendo is updating its sales forecasts. Their previous target was 19 million units for the fiscal year, and they are moving it up to 24 million units, which, again, at this point, definitely wouldn't surprise me. And I must say, this is really, really nice. Like, it was not that long ago that we were all in the middle of the Wii U era, and it was just like every time they released a financial result, it was always lower, always lower. Oh, we gotta adjust it down, adjust it down. It's just so nice to see that, like, they're doing so well, they can barely keep up with how well they are doing, and they have to keep adjusting it up. It's very nice. Naturally, they have updated their profit forecasts as well. And as far as pure profit goes, that was aided tremendously by the fact that digital sales are up 139.4% over last year. Another very solid number. Obviously, a fair amount of that can be chalked up to the whole situation. People are at home, they don't want to go out, they want to get digital copies, more, convenient and quick and all that stuff. But even if that weren't the case, even if this was a normal year, I bet the number wouldn't actually be that different, just because we have seen higher digital adoption every single year. Year over year, it always just goes up and up and up. So even if somehow things went back to normal completely next year, but then even still just considering how many more people have Switches now, I think I would not be surprised if next year still ends up being higher than this year. By the way, this all comes from Nintendo's recent financial report, and we've got a lot of other very nice little tidbits in here. Did you know that between April and September, the Nintendo Switch had 20 different titles sell over 1 million copies? 20 different titles sold over 1 million. It's such a wide breadth of games, Like, I mean, I know, like, Nintendo, they put out their big first-party titles, and most of them float to the top, but I would still say that, like, 20 is pretty darn great. Nintendo has, of course, updated its top 10 list of best-selling Switch games. I love these top 10 lists. I've made 2 entire videos on these top 10 lists, though this time not much has changed as far as, like, positioning goes, but there are still some interesting little tidbits in here. It is all but guaranteed that this holiday season, Animal Crossing New Horizons will overtake Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to be the #1 best-selling Switch game of all time, and need I remind you, that is in less than 1 year on the market. Less than 1 year, and it's already there. My gosh, what is that? That's like a 33% install base? Am I doing that math right? No, that's like a 40-something percent. That's a 40-something percent attach rate for this game. That is incredible. All the other games still performing very well, have very strong legs. I'm still surprised to see Breath of the Wild over Super Mario Odyssey. Zelda does not tend to beat Mario games. That's very weird. Super Mario Party just still being the little Mario Party game that could. Pretty incredible there. Splatoon 2, amazing. Just super good numbers. Never ceases to amaze me. So in this report, Nintendo reconfirmed some of the release dates and windows for their upcoming games. Games coming in the next, few months, half a year, whatever. They've all got release dates, Hyrule Warriors, 3D World, that kind of stuff. And that's all the same. But they still have TBA release windows on Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime 4, Breath of the Wild 2, and Pokemon Snap. Metroid Prime 4, obviously not coming out next year. Bayonetta 3 was like a maybe. But Breath of the Wild 2 and Pokemon Snap, I must say, I know I should not look too deeply into this list. TBA doesn't necessarily mean not next year, but usually when it's next year, they put at least the year. It could be, you know, because of delays in development, they don't want to commit to anything, not even an entire calendar year. So I don't know. I mean, like, I have been feeling pretty confident that we would get Breath of the Wild 2 next year. And then, like, Pokemon Snap, I thought that was coming this year. But, like, they revealed it, and then they just kind of didn't tell us anymore, and I guess it's just not coming this year. They don't even have 2021. It's TBA. So who knows? Probably means nothing. But I don't know. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that those two, at least, we don't have to wait too long. So, not surprising anyone, the Switch has been doing incredibly well in China. I'm not going to pretend to know a whole lot about the situation, but I know China had a console ban for a very long time. It's a very big thing. They are in great control of what their people are allowed to have access to, which is a whole thing. And they finally lifted that ban, and Sony previously was doing the best in China. I think probably in terms of at least console sales. That's kind of what I have to assume here, because PC and mobile gaming is really, really good over there. But Nintendo is doing so well, probably thanks in no small part to the fact that their games are very just easy and friendly and consumable and don't have a lot of potential controversies surrounding them. I mean, who's gonna say no to Mario, you know? So Nintendo is poised to overtake Sony and be the console market leader in all of China, which is pretty incredible, and I'm sure that is contributing a lot to Nintendo's higher revenue. Speaking of sales, we have received a little more clarity on the sales of recent titles. Super Mario 3D All-Stars apparently sold 5.21 million copies in its first 12 days on the market. And I think it was last week we were talking about how it was the fastest selling Mario game on the Switch. And of course, you know, there are a lot of reasons for that. I'm not gonna call Roberta right now. She looks so happy out in that pasture. But there is one reason I think a lot of people, at least a good chunk of people, bought the game when they did. And that's because they know they're not gonna have access to it for very long. But anyway, again, I know I keep saying it again and again and again, but the video is coming. I am almost done writing the script. It is about to launch into full production. It is coming, because we are not talking about this. In other fast Mario-related news, Origami King has become the fastest-selling Paper Mario game. Again, really surprising no one. Historically, Paper Mario sales have been tied pretty much directly with the health of their respective platforms. The first two games didn't do too hot. They were on underperforming consoles, and then on the Wii, you get Super Paper Mario, which sells the most, and then Sticker Star still sells a pretty good amount. And then, of course, the Switch is a very healthy platform with lots of people wanting to play Mario games on it. So yeah, no surprise. I mean, I have no doubt in the world that this will overtake Super Paper Mario. Right now, 2.82 million for Origami King. Super Paper Mario has 4.23 million. So yeah, I mean, Nintendo games, they have legs, and I have no doubt. If I might indulge in just the tiniest bit of snark though, I can't help but wonder if that number would already be higher if there were no major controversies surrounding this game. I know lots of people ended up enjoying the game despite the controversies, but I feel like it has to have limited it somewhat. No matter where you go, you see people arguing that the game is terrible, or it's great, or whatever, or like it's bad for these reasons. Like it has to have shut people off from being interested in playing the game. It has to have. I mean, like, 2.82 million is good, and it will continue to grow, but like, no, Roberta, I'm so sorry. No, it's just this one thing. No, just eat your grass. It's fine, I swear. This is a first-party Mario game on a really, really healthy platform, and I feel like 2.82 million, it's been out for so much longer than the 3D All-Stars collection, and it's like this big, grand adventure. I think it could have been more. I honestly think if they had just been like, let's make a product that everybody can get behind, I think it would be significantly higher. I can't know that for sure. And like, of course, Arlo's gonna come in here and be like, oh, that sold pretty, that sold all right, but it could have been more. It could have been higher if they listened to me. I know. It's pretty silly. But I just can't help but feel that way. I can't help but look at that number and think, I'm sorry. She's right at the door. No, Roberta, I'm sorry. No. She's such a good horse. Go, just keep, she's my high horse, if you know. Just go, keep eating the ground. I'm done. I'm 100% up. My hands are up, see? I'm not touching, well, I wasn't touching anything. The laptop, not touching the laptop. Not reading this article anymore. I'm closing it now. Pikmin 3 Deluxe sales have been another topic of discussion recently amongst the community, and it is going to take time for more clear sales figures to come in. I currently don't have anything for the US, but we do know that in the UK, Pikmin 3 Deluxe's opening weekend was worse than the opening weekend of the original game. Sorry, the opening week, not the opening weekend. And that is disappointing, but you do have to remember that, like, this is a re-release. There are plenty of people who who bought the original and don't want to double dip. The potential audience is just lower than it would be with a new game. Also, here's the big one. Digital, again, has only gone up and up and up every single year, and this is just physical sales. There's a fine chance that with digital, this launch was actually stronger, which really would bode well, again, considering lots of people don't want to double dip. It's $60 for an old game. And then in Japan, the game is actually not doing too bad at all. It sold 171,000 units in its first week, which actually does beat the first week of the original in Japan. So I think there is hope. I know that first UK one brought a lot of doom and gloom, but I think there is hope. I am still maintaining that this will be the highest selling Pikmin game ever. It's probably not going to light the world on fire. I think 3 million, easy. I think by the end of the Switch's life, 3 million is a safe bet, which is not terrible, especially for a port they didn't have to spend that much money on. If I wanted to, we could go into the whole, how Nintendo was kind of weird around the release of the game. Like they did a lot of stuff to overshadow it, and they had that direct partner showcase, and the Age of Calamity demo came out. I know it was kind of weird. Like they were building up Pikmin 3, and then they just kind of ended up putting in the middle of all this stuff, and then Age of Calamity comes out in a few weeks. So I don't know. And then the high price tag and everything, and then not giving us 1 and 2. It's weird how when Nintendo feels like they want to do something, but they only kind of want to do it. I don't know. Again, that's the whole thing. Not gonna make Roberta come over here again. Okay, please forgive me for the sudden change in audio quality. My roommates came home and I had to go to the car. Now you can hear the difference, right? So here's some very fun sales news. Fire Emblem Three Houses has cracked the 3 million unit mark, making it the singularly best-selling entry in the series, which is very cool. It's a very, very good game. And honestly, like 3 million is really still a very modest number. And I'm just so happy to see Nintendo giving the series so much support. And it's, it's weird how, like, I don't know, some series struggle, and so then they, get the can, or they get given the runaround for years and years. And then other series, they seem to really want to keep trying with it, and I suppose they are just following that glimmer of hope that they saw on the 3DS. And Three Houses wasn't like the highest budget game in the world, at least not in terms of like, just like how the game looked and everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if 3 million for that game was actually pretty darn good, and everything has legs. Every first-party Nintendo game has legs. It will continue to sell. I could see it getting up to 4 at the very least. I could see 5. I'm not 100% sure, but I could see 5 by the end of the Switch's life, especially if Nintendo tries to push it a little harder. I don't know, we might just get a new Fire Emblem game, which would probably, stifle the sales potential of this one. But if it's the only one that the only one that exists through the Switch's life, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by 5. Maybe a little too hopeful, but let's at least give it 4. No, 5, no, 4, no. Anyway, moving on. Let's shift from a modest success over to Pokemon Go, which has made over $1 billion this year. This is its best year yet, and the year is not even over yet. A lot of this probably has to do with the changes they made to better help people play indoors. I mean, if you're mostly only playing when you're out of the house, you're that's something of a limit to what you're doing and what you're spending. But at home, you can just play as much as you want, I guess. And from an outsider's perspective, it does seem like they've been monetizing it a little more aggressively, kind of over the years. I'm not really sure, but whatever the case, it's gonna keep going for a while. My goodness, this thing just will not stop. And that's a free mobile game. And we wonder why they don't want to put more effort into their console releases. No, we don't wonder. We know exactly why, and it's Pokemon Go. So then, let's shift that crazy success story back to the game that Nintendo sent to die in 2019. Poor Demon X Machina was just doomed for so many different reasons. So many, I almost made a video on it just because I was so interested in it. Well, whoever bought the game, you will be enjoying a free update and some extra content and stuff in celebration of the game's 1-year anniversary. That's pretty cool. The game looked pretty good. I never played the demo. I know it had frame rate issues, but I thought it still looked like pretty all right. One of these days, I might even try it out. Maybe. Maybe when I get through my backlog a little. As part of the Hobonichi Mother Project, which we've been talking about off and on throughout the year, there are going to be a few mother-themed pop-up stores in Japan. These are basically temporary stores that kind of go up and sell merch, and then they go away. I personally have a hard time understanding the concept of a pop-up store, kind of in general, just in this age of, I mean, I guess it's fun to, like, go to a store, but I feel like if a company wants to sell a product, make as much of that product as people all over the world might want, and then, like, sell it online. I don't really get this. I don't know. I haven't looked deep enough into it. Maybe you can find all this stuff online, and it's just the fun of the store, but I do find it doubly weird in the year 2020, considering everything going on. I don't know. Maybe it's... I don't know. I guess I just don't know. But hey, if you're in Japan, you can access this, and you want some Mother merchandise, I'm sure it'll be pretty cool. That Mr. Saturn plushie is just delightful. So this isn't strictly Nintendo news, but Sega news is almost like Nintendo news because there's so many Sega games on Nintendo consoles. I don't know much about Sega Sammy. I believe Sammy is the company that partly owns Sega. I know about Sega, but the whole Sammy Sega thing, I'm not as familiar, but it does seem that Sammy, the company, wants to ditch most of their shares in Sega and, you know, basically not be part of the company anymore. From what I can tell, this has less to do with, you know, like console game releases and more to do with arcades. Apparently Sega has a pretty sizable arcade presence in Japan, and it hasn't been going too well. I think even before all this 2020 stuff happened, arcades have been declining for years and years. Because of all this, Sega Sammy has slashed the salaries of its major executives and is asking 650 employees to voluntarily retire. If they retire, this comes with a, you know, number of different benefits, and I don't really get the idea of voluntary retirement, because it's like they need them to quit. Is this just the nice way of firing, where it's like if they all say no, are they gonna be like, okay, well, you're fired anyway? I don't know. But that is awful. That is a tremendous number of people, and I don't know how this is going to affect the rest of the Sega business, but I guess we will just have to wait and see. Hori has just released a new accessibility controller. It is currently only available in Japan, and it is quite pricey, I must say, but if you are into accessibility in games and all that stuff, definitely look out for this one coming west, or import it or whatever, but I imagine that would also be very, very expensive. This thing is really, 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 really cool. Seems to have a tremendous number of options, and I think it is awesome that just accessibility in games is a topic that has become just more and more relevant over time. It's more and more people are becoming aware of it, and I think that is super duper cool. We need more stuff like this. There's a YouTube personality named Boris the Slav King who is getting his own game on the Switch. And the game itself is not really the important part I want to talk about. I mostly just want to bring this up to say, where's my game? Someone want to make me a game? Do you want to make me a game? Someone want to make me a game? I want to make a game. I mean, I'm mostly kidding, of course. Half kidding. Not kidding. I want to make a game. If someone want to make me a game, are you a company that makes games? You got some games under your belt? You should send me a portfolio or something. I'm looking. I mean, I'm really just kidding. I mean, it's just, you know, but just, you know, my business email is in my Twitter bio. Just, you know, just saying. Do you want to show me your experience in some of the projects you've already done, especially if you're like a game studio? You want to talk about it? Yeah, I'm just saying, you know, whatever people are looking. I don't know. Just saying. So this next news item is not sponsored in any way. This is something I bring up just because I care about it so much. Bug Fables, quite possibly the best Paper Mario game ever made, has received a big, fat update. I loved the game so much. So few flaws, such teeny tiny flaws in that game, and guess what? They're addressing them because there is no flaw, too tiny for these folks. Here you can see a detailed breakdown of all just the little teeny tiny tweaks I would never even think to make, just little adds and tweaks and balances and things, just, you know, that stuff that just really proves that a team really cares about making a project as good as it can possibly be. And then they shared a video showing off some of the more major updates. You can cook recipes now without having to select each individual ingredient every time. There's like a new sprint so you can get around the overworld faster. There's like new content. There's like a new secret boss. Like, it's just awesome. If you love the game, there's just even more to love about the game. So many additions, and I just wanted to tell you all that. I want to give this a little signal boost because I cannot praise this game enough. Go check out my review if you haven't already. And finally, in community news, Derek Bittner and John Cartwright, both previously of Game Explain, both separately but on like the same day, received new little bundles of joy. I mean, I don't know if technically it was on the same calendar day, but I'm pretty sure it was within like a 24-hour period. I could be wrong, but pretty sure. Such a funny coincidence. So, go to their socials and say happy, good, congratulatory things at them for their new babies. Also, look at how adorable the babies are, because the babies are indeed adorable. Seriously though, Derek and John, so many congrats to you and Amy and Roxy and your adorable babies. You guys are awesome. Well, my friends, that is it for this edition of the Nintendo News Roundup. Thank you for watching. You have a wonderful day, and if you got a game studio and want to make an Arlo game, call me, is all I'm saying.